Good day, everyone. I am Dave Kochalko, CEO and co-founder of Artifacts. I'm very pleased to speak with you today in the Converge to Accelerate Symposium's scientific track. The title of my presentation is News of Blockchain Applications in Public Health Lie Below the Fold. I would like to thank my co-authors, Mohammed Usman, Rose Breuer, Anjem Kershid, and Sean Mannion for their contributions to this talk and our project, which underpins today's presentation. Our team is collaborating on a project we've titled Library and Systematic Review Infrastructure for Blockchain and Emerging Technologies, which we've dubbed LASER for short. And I've organized my remarks about our project into the following segments: the problem and why it persists, the goals of Project LASER, how breakthrough technology makes this project viable, and lastly, our approach. But first, the problem. The general problem we intend to address with LASER is that far too many ideas, thoughts, and writings about emerging and pre-emerging fields in STEM fields exist under the radar of today's dominant indexes and search engines. Early stage thinking, research, and discoveries are difficult, if not impossible, to uncover. In web design terms, they lie below the fold, but in actuality, they may not be found at all or are buried so deeply in the results, you're unable to find them. This is important because delays in the diffusion of emerging thoughts and discoveries slow the basic and applied research that ultimately leads to innovations and public health benefits. And delays in the diffusion of early stage research are felt throughout the research ecosystem, in the formation of collaborations between and among researchers and their institutions, the winning of funding awards, formal communication of findings, and the realization of economic, social, and public health benefits. Our team sees this playing out in real time as R&D on blockchain applications in healthcare have expanded rapidly in the few years since HHS hosted a white paper contest on the topic in 2016. While this field has advanced rapidly as the volume of contributions by individuals and institutions not previously engaged in health-related efforts have expanded, the field lacks a solid shared foundation of aggregated and curated literature. Such foundations of shared, accessible, and trusted bodies of literature have driven effective evidence-based medical and healthcare discovery and operations elsewhere. But only a small percentage of the relevant material in the field of blockchain applications in healthcare appears in peer-reviewed form. Considerable gray literature, such as professional conference materials, industry and government reports, books, chapters, and etc., exist but are not all readily discoverable through more general indexed directories. And there appears to be a significant amount of lay literature, such as online, self-published articles, news and magazine reports, and industry white papers that contain a substantial amount of the current state of knowledge for blockchain applications in healthcare that are not accessible or vetted in any standardized way. The visible literature on this topic came out of nowhere, and it is growing as the volume of content we surveyed from among a half dozen popular bibliographic resources shows that this body of material has grown 11-fold in the last 5 years. Now, while that sounds promising, what we see is better described with an iceberg analogy, where the significant volumes of content about this topic exist unseen and unknown below the waterline. By some estimates, an order of magnitude or greater than what is made visible by current databases. Now, this is not a new problem. It has existed for as long as electronic reference databases have existed. Some of the reasons this problem persists are that the incentive structure in the academy prioritizes publication and citations in refereed journals, while other meaningful contributions, such as confirmatory results, go unrecognized. The editorial and peer review practices of STEM publishers ignore negative results, which prevents communication of guidance for other research teams and their funders. The indexing policies of the primary vendors capture the low-hanging fruit of formerly published works, while ignoring troves of content below the fold, so to speak, that appear in gray and lay literature. These indexes contain what's easiest and cheapest to capture through direct feeds from publishers, but bypass the fertile information that percolates from diverse sources. And fourthly, technology barriers have blunted cost-effective access to this information. It is this fourth factor we are focusing on with Project Laser, where the evolution of blockchain technology combined with other innovative Web3 technologies are poised to have a comparable impact on our ability to mine information pools, just as geosurvey and extraction technologies have opened up vast supplies of fossil fuels. It is our view that it is past time that such a foundation be constructed for the blockchain-based healthcare infrastructure to gain a perspective on what's below that waterline. The goal of Project Laser is to create a publicly accessible library of blockchain healthcare and related materials, and to conduct a formal systematic review of the relevant body of published literature. To paraphrase one of my favorite series, what we're focusing on is to boldly go where no one has gone before, to capture essential contributions from all three primary content segments of peer-reviewed, gray, and lay literature for this topic area. Ultimately, to demonstrate the viability of applying new technologies for addressing the problem I've described in this topic area, and applying our approach across other topics and disciplines. A successful effort to collect and curate from among the peer-reviewed gray and lay literature to create a comprehensive library of these materials will be a tremendous boon to industry and government efforts to develop and advance applications. A formal systematic review of this body of literature will provide a solid foundation for future R&D and also promote a shift in how future knowledge is disseminated, gains trust, and guides researchers, thought leaders, and policymakers. The indexing of this library could similarly be applied to any other areas of health research needing an accessible and curated body of literature. Beneficiaries will include the multidisciplinary community of researchers engaged in health, medical, and social science disciplines, the funding agencies who need to set programmatic priorities, the taxpayers and congressional oversight committees who expect a return on investment, and the broad community of federal, state, and local entities that need to make actionable decisions and set policy based on the results identified in this resource. So let's focus now on how technology drives innovation in our research information ecosystem and how it influences behavioral and operational changes among individuals and organizations. So just for the moment, sit back and relax while I employ the virtual Wayback Machine of Mr. Peabody and Sherman's time travel device from that timeless cartoon series, Rocky and Bullwinkle. Imagine yourself working when the internet was all the rage, where we had email to communicate across vast distances. But then suddenly the blockbuster innovation of hyperlinking explodes on the scene, and everyone, literally everyone, starts building new products and services that leverage this innovation. Well, that's when those of us at the Institute for Scientific Information took on the challenge of digitizing the plus 20 volume annual print edition of the Science Citation Index to create and launch what became the Web of Science, a resource used now by thousands of organizations globally. Reflecting back, it is difficult to overstate the impact hyperlinking has had on our information industry and beyond, let alone society more broadly. After all, Sergey and Larry credited Gene Garfield's citation linking algorithm as the kernel concept which led to their own release of the Google platform. Hyperlinking has driven the digitization of scholarly content. DOIs, ORCIDs, PIDs, and numerous other enhancements that have changed the way we all work. But that invention of hyperlinking was 40 years ago. True step change technological innovation of the likes of hyperlinking comes along occasionally and unpredictably. With the advent of blockchain technology, I would argue, we are at a similar innovative inflection point for driving long tail improvements in how healthcare R&D is conducted, funded, communicated, validated, and how it delivers societal benefits. With the emergence of the first operating blockchain platform only a dozen years ago, based on a paper attributed to Satoshi Nakamoto, the application of blockchain-based solutions has extended into many diverse industries and use cases. The continual innovation of both the underlying technology of blockchain to enable scaling and other capabilities, coupled with the traction it has established in practical uses, makes access to information about its relevance for healthcare an imperative. Our approach with Project Laser is to combine the principles of curating information with Web3 technologies to reach deeply into emerging research. And by recording onto the blockchain, we will provide an open and distributed resource. Now, to unpack this a bit, our priorities are first, to collaborate with information experts to identify relevant information sources of peer, lay, and gray literature, to create an appropriate subject-specific set of taxonomies and ontologies useful for screening, ranking, and organizing information about the application of blockchain technology in medical and healthcare uses. Second, to register all metadata onto a distributed ledger using a proof of authority protocol that is both trusted and low cost, both in energy consumption and economic terms, that ensures broad access and the potential for academic and commercial recognition. And third, to make this resource publicly available, both for its content value and for further development of machine learning and artificial intelligence tools that effectively identify, index, and expose emerging knowledge from diverse repositories and silos, which today remain obscured from view. Let me conclude by saying that we believe by demonstrating an effective new capability for covering this topic area will expose new methods of producing, distributing, and consuming scientific and scholarly knowledge. And we hope to contribute meaningful improvements in how information is employed by research organizations. I would like to thank you for your attention. And for those interested in learning more about Project Laser, Artifact's blockchain technology, and our other projects, you may reach me, Dave Kochalko, at dkochalko@artifacts.ai. Goodbye for now. Thank you.